Hi, everybody. This is Allison Roth. I am recording for my action research. I was just going to go ahead and share my screen, maybe. Okay. All right. So this is the picture I created for our assignment. And I asked the question, does integration of multisensory activities support students that have difficulty focusing and encourage participation in the classroom? We all know that we have some of those students that really have a hard time focusing and participating. And this year I have four, I have more at times, of course, but four at pretty much all times were struggling with this. So I wanted to make sure that I looked into a way to reach them. And in doing so, I actually found that multisensory activities actually do support participation and focus drastically. I always kind of wanted to input things, and I thought of things more on the sensory side, like I had to get stuff. And in reality, when I was doing research, I didn't have to get all that much that I didn't already have. I could utilize a lot of the materials in my classroom just a little more. And there was some things I had gotten that I just didn't take the time to put in. And so I think that was a big area that I had to get over myself first. So if you're looking for a way to gain participation and increase focus in students, I would highly recommend putting in those multisensory activities. Like I said, some of them are things like sand trays and Play-Dohs, and that's kind of what I thought of when I first thought of it. And I was like, oh man, what a mess. I teach kindergarten, right? But a lot of research I did, blogs and articles and research showed me that it is very beneficial, and there's just some students that really need that. And I was actually wowed by the results. I did some shaving cream trays, some sand writing, that really helped. And I actually was already incorporating a lot of the tapping, either the fingers, the arms, and writing and reading, those soundboards where you move the sound, the magic wands where you have the magnet to put in. That was really huge. The puppets the kids liked. The whisper phones you see in this picture right here, that was also huge. I made each student a reading box, and when we go to blending and reading, we grab our box, and the mirror was very helpful to be able to see yourself in the sounds. And when we were just doing sounds with some students, the whisper phone was also very helpful. And then I did some of the ones you think of, like the ball, the bouncing. I incorporated with adding and just number recognition and greater and less than. So there's a lot of ways you can utilize the activities that you put in and the materials that you create. Like some of my students did sand just trays, just the letter writing. Some are doing CVC words, some are even doing blends already. And so I did utilize it whole group, and then I gave them opportunities to practice more, especially the ones that have difficulty with focus and participation. And so in intervention times or independent work, they also were able to utilize those. And they, wow, they really do help. So I guess I should follow my path here. The methods, I used a variety of multisensory activity techniques. By spending 2 days, I utilized this same specific activity for 2 days straight. And then I used it also in small group, and I wanted to see if the novelty was going to wear off. And I don't think that I'm able to see that in such a short time frame. That would have to be the actions, the extended research to utilize that and see, does the novelty wear off? Does their focus and participation lack then? I found that in two of my students, they just must have needed that extra multisensory because they were 100%. I couldn't believe it, but it is true. Two of the four were able to participate and focus, and we are assessing currently, and their assessments are way up. Is that a factor of this, I don't know, in such a short time frame, but I do believe that it was very beneficial for those students. In one of four of my students, focus and participation increased, but time was needed prior to using the materials in a lesson for exploration. If that was done, then he was able to use it as a tool instead of a toy. If I did not do that, he was more focused on seeing its function and how he could mess around with it. So I think actions, I would recommend stating clearly and concisely the purpose for the tool or object that you're adding, and practice it, give them a little time to explore it, and then hit into the lesson and you use it in the lesson. And then additional research, I would say, on using the activity for longer periods of times, like I was saying, and to determine if they are able to retain and recall the information and use it across other aspects of learning. If they're usually used to being able to just use the strategies and methods. And I think this will be beneficial because some of the students already asked for specific things while they were writing, or while they were practice blending, or while they were working on their letters. They have been finding strategies that are multisensory that support their learning a little better. So for that reason, I think that I may see a growth in that retention and recall of the information. And then also one thing I found was in one of the students, he participated 100% of the time when using multisensory addition if it was an object. When it was the use of like tapping fingers or using your body like writing on somebody's back, the participation was 90% of the time, which is also an enormous gain for the student because participation was very low for him. He could focus and he can sit there, but he might be taking in the information because he is showing progress, but he wasn't participating in the activities. And I feel like if you're not participating, you're not getting the full experience and your brain is just not grasping it. So I wanted something more for him. The little Play-Doh balls, they were kind of one of the things I had to let them explore, but I put them in the little crayon boxes and I gave them 4. And so now when we blend and segment, they can just put them on their desk and utilize them whenever they need to, if they want. I have a lot of students, even those that I wasn't focused on, that do use that strategy, and they are able to get all the sounds instead of missing a blend or missing that ending sound and not getting it there. Sometimes I have to go back and tap and say, okay, you missed this sound, this last sound, what was it? But I also went ahead and spoke with my principal, and we put into play, I made some sensory boards and we put them in a sensory room because I have some students that I thought, well, maybe sensory breaks would benefit them. So we are trying that currently too. The research on that, I can't say for sure because it's been such a short time before I got them all together and hung them up. We're just starting that. But that will be another aspect that I will be very interested to see if that helps focus and participation in class, if they get that little sensory break. And so it was awesome to do this. I really enjoyed seeing it, and I plan to, the actions I put that I would share with my colleagues, and I would like them to try some of the things, even if they use some of my materials that I'm not using at that time, and just to see if their students respond the same way mine did. And so, yeah, I think that I hope you all had a great semester, and those are my findings, and I hope you're all well.